It is clear that there was a very, very special bond between the late Jonathan Toroitich and his mother, Lena Moi. Lena Moi is the late wife of former President Daniel Torotich Arap Moi. The First Lady Kenyans never knew. Indeed, many Kenyans who grew up during the 24-year reign of former President Daniel Arap Moi thought that Moi did not have a wife. In my full-length video on the life of Jonathan Toroitich, I answered that question. Why was she out of the public limelight? Because it's an important question to answer if you're to understand the life of the late Jonathan Toroitich. So make sure you don't miss that video. It's very revealing. You will see a link at the end of this video on the top left-hand corner of your screens, where you can go directly to that video. But meanwhile, enjoy a sneak preview from that very informative and revealing video. Now, there was a major event in the Moi family, which worsened Jonathan Kipkemboy's rebellious streak. And this was the decision by Moi, Daniel Moi, to remove his wife Lena completely from his side, and from public limelight. And for all intents and purposes, to part with her. Some would say abandon her. Now, in a previous video on this channel, I've covered the circumstances surrounding that rather extensively. But very briefly, Lena Moi is the only woman, the late Lena Moi, is the only woman in Kenyan history who has the distinction of being asked for a dance by the President of the Republic of Kenya and saying no. This drama unfolded at Nakuru State House. And actually the first President of Kenya was trying to diffuse a very volatile and embarrassing situation. You see, what had happened is that rumors, whether true or not, had reached Lena that her husband, Daniel Moi, had a thing with a certain police officer belonging to the House of Mumbi. And at the said public function, to usher in the new year, the traditional dance in State House involving the President, the Vice President and Cabinet Ministers, to usher in the new year that used to be a tradition in those days. At that dinner dance, Lena saw Moi with that other woman. I believe her name was Lillian. Over the years, I've not been able to verify whether they were just talking or dancing. But Lena Moi went ballistic. And Jomo Kenyatta tried to defuse the situation by asking Lena for a dance. And Lena said no. Now, there are sources who say that under great duress, she finally danced with the first President of Kenya. But that did not diffuse this drama, which greatly embarrassed Daniel Arap Moi. More so at a time when he was being embarrassed all the time by the Kiambu Mafia, those close to Jomo, who derided him, teased him, and just did everything to make his life very uncomfortable. Actually unbearable, because there's evidence to suggest that Moi tried to step down, to resign from the vice presidency, at least on one occasion. Anyway, those are stories for another day. The bottom line here is that this seems to have been the last straw. Moi banished his wife Lena to his farm in Eldama Ravine, where she resided until her death in 2004, 2 years after her husband had left power. But the topic of today is Jonathan. Jonathan sided with his mother. And when he was old enough, he went to live with his mother. It is very instructive that in 2002, when Jonathan decided to vie for the Eldama Ravine parliamentary seat, in talking to the press about what he'd do, he started with family values and talked at length about the plight of abandoned women and divorced women which he would address if elected as a Member of Parliament for Eldama Ravine. And remember the time that he was talking to the press about this, his father was still in power. Actually, it was at the tail end of his presidency. This was 2002, in the run-up to those elections, which his father was not going to vie for re-election. Now, there was no other way this could be interpreted by those who knew the family well, except as a direct jab, a direct barb at his father and his relationship with his mother, Lena. And of course, at this time, Lena Moi was still alive. And in fact, the farm where she lived in was in this particular constituency that Jonathan wanted to win. And for the record, he didn't win. And he vied again for this parliamentary seat. And was also unsuccessful again. Now in 2002, when Jonathan was unsuccessful in winning the Eldama Ravine parliamentary seat, in sharp contrast, his last-born brother, Gideon, was elected to take over his father's constituency, Baringo Central. And just like his father, Gideon Moi entered politics unopposed. Decades earlier, Gideon's father Moi had been elected into office in the Rift Valley unopposed. But early on, he had taken over as the appointed representative of the Rift Valley for the colonialists from a man called Dr. John Ole Tameno. And very interesting, the good doctor was dropped in favor of Moi because he was accused of very heavy drinking. And throughout his life, Moi kept well away from any hard drinks. He was a teetotaler and looked down on heavy drinkers. And so guess what? Jonathan became a very heavy drinker. And to make matters worse, he drank in public as if to spite his father. Anyway, circumstances in 2002, when Gideon first got elected, were very different from what they were in 1958 or in the 1950s, when his father first entered politics. But still, history was repeated. Gideon got elected completely unopposed on a Kanu ticket. And Gideon's election was critical, critical to the Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi exit plan and strategy, exit from power. I have mentioned in earlier videos on this channel how elaborate that Moi exit strategy was, extremely elaborate. And Gideon Moi, the last-born son, was bang in the middle of it. While his other son, his first-born son, and his rightful heir, for all intents and purposes, Jonathan Moi, was vying for a seat in Eldama Ravine, where his mother lived, in complete rebellion still to his father, and completely out of his father's plans.